Good morning, students. Sorry, good afternoon, students. Last time we have studied first session of C programming language, wherein we have seen the details about the high-level language, low-level language, then various data types used, various operators used, okay, hierarchy of operators and all. So today I am going to take loops. Okay, so loops are basically called as the control statements in a C language. So understand the meaning of control statement. See, in case of a programming, many times we come up with a situation wherein we have to take the controlling action. For example, whether to do this or not, right? So this is a kind of a question wherein we have to take the control, whether to go for yes, whether to go for no. So such kind of statements where we are making the decision is called as the control statement. So in case of a C language, there are various control statements which we are going to which we are going to use while doing the programs. So first one is the if else. Understand, suppose we have two cases. I mean, if the condition is satisfied, we have to do this, otherwise we have to do this. Okay, so suppose we pass, we'll go to the next year. Otherwise, we have to study in this year itself. Likewise, we have two options. Then we'll go for if else control statement. So if condition is met, then only whatever we write inside the boundaries of if, that will get executed. Else remaining thing will go for. Okay. The next controlling statement is a switch. So switch have many cases. When we have n number of cases and any one of it is selected at a time, that time we go for switch. Next is the loops. So in loops, there are multiple loops. So when we want to execute a particular things many number of times, for example, suppose I have to add the three numbers, okay, and same task I have to do 10 times. So I cannot, I mean, it is not a good sign that I will write the same statement 10 number of times and every time I will ask for three numbers to the user, take it in the memory, say ans equal to a plus b plus c and answer equal to this. This is what I'll print. And same program I will write 10 times below each other, right? So this is not a good sign of a programmer. So rather, because this is going to lengthen your program, so what we will do is we will put this statement inside a loop and we will execute the loop 10 number of times, right? So that the program becomes simple, short and easy to understand, right? So for that purpose, there is a need of using the loops. Then there is a do while loop. So I said in the loops that we are checking the condition and then we are executing the particular operation many number of times. But in case of a do while loop, what happens is whenever we want to execute our program at least once and then it should check the condition. In such a case, we go for do while loop. Do means it has to do a particular task which is assigned to it. While after a while there will be condition. If that condition is met, then it will repeat the process which is written inside do. Okay, so this is what do while loop. So the speciality of do while loop is that it executes the program at least once. Okay, then there is a while loop. So while condition is going to be there, if condition is met, then it will execute, otherwise not. For loop, now there is a speciality for a for loop that we have three operators within a same loop. At a time, it will assign the thing, it will check the condition and it can increment or decrement. So these three possible condition checking, assigning and increment decrement, all the three conditions are possible within a same loop, that is called as a for loop. Now these are the two statements, break and continue. So these statements are used to break the program intermittently anywhere. Whenever I write break, control will move from that statement to the last statement. Similarly, continue. With the continue statement, I can move the control of a C program which is sequential. I can continue wherever I give the label. So these are some of the control statements in C language. Now see if else statement. Now focusing only on the loop of if or if else or nested if else. So understand how we write it. So the simplest one is a if. So we'll go in detail with the syntaxes, but you understand first the meaning of it. Today I'm going to take only theoretical, conceptual understanding kind of part, and programming, if time permits, we will take next time. Or otherwise, we will take the programming of various methods in Python in the next semester. Okay. This is for logical development. We are taking this subject so that you should understand which kind of loops are there, what is the use, how to use. So in case of, as the language changes, for example, C language is there, Java is there, C++ is there, or Python is there. The looping and all is same in all the languages, only syntax changes. So depending upon the language which we are using, we have to follow those syntaxes. Okay, otherwise syntax error is there. But logic remains same, you go with any language. That's it. So the first simplest one is a if statement. So if, then there is a bracket and you have to write the condition. If condition is satisfied, then only it will follow the scope of the loop. Now understand what is the scope of a loop. Scope means the boundary level. So if suppose there is a curly bracket after condition, if circular bracket, some condition is there, for example, A is greater than B, then curly bracket open, we write 3 4 sentences, statements. After that, curly bracket is closed. So opening and closing of a curly bracket after if statement, it's called as a scope of the if loop. So whatever we have to execute, once that condition given in if loop is satisfied, that is called as a scope. So whatever you write inside the curly bracket is called as a scope. Suppose I do not provide any curly bracket, then what happens? So whichever statement you write immediately after the if statement, only that one statement by default is considered as scope of the loop. म्हणजेच काय की इफ नंतर मी जर कर्ली ब्रॅकेट दिलं नाही काही आणि डायरेक्टली स्टेटमेंट लिहिले, 4 स्टेटमेंट लिहिले, तर बाय डिफॉल्ट तो फक्त एकच स्टेटमेंट कन्सिडर करतो अंडर द इफ लूप. आय होप यू हॅव अंडरस्टूड दिस. Then there is a if else. If the condition is not met, then what it has to do? For example, suppose we are writing a program in such a way that if a student gets, say, 90% and above, then he will go for medical. Okay, if a student gets 80% and above, he will go for engineering. Okay, if he gets 70% and above, he will go for BCS. Like that, multiple control statements are there. And we have to find out how many students are there for medical, how many students are there for engineering, how many students are there for BCS, or how many are there for a plain graduation. Okay, so here we have to check multiple conditions. If it is greater than 90, it's okay. If it is greater than 80 but less than 90, then it is going to be engineering. If it is greater than 70 but less than 80, then only it is going to be BCS. And if it is, say, less than 70, then it will go for, say, plain graduation. So we have multiple choices to make, because see, 70 or say 90% is greater than 70 also, so it will execute in BCS also, it will execute in engineering also, and it will execute in what, medical also, right? So there are peculiar conditions which we have to check. So two conditions we have to take at a time. Like if it is, say, greater than 80 but less than 90, so these two conditions, both the conditions are mandatory, then only we are saying engineering. So when we have to solve such kind of logical problems, then we go for various controlling statements. If only one condition, will go for if else. Suppose this is not satisfied, then we'll go for it. For example, if percentage are greater than 70, okay, he will go for plain. Else, we will put him somewhere else. Okay, some say skill development programs, like that. So this is the second statement, if else. जर हे नाही झालं तर तो इथे जाणार आहे. ओके, एल्सला परत कंडिशन नाही टाकत आहे आपण. सो कंडिशन लेसली, सपोज इट हॅज टू डू समथिंग एल्स, then there is if else. If this condition satisfy, he will do this. Else, without any condition, he will do this. Like that, if we have two options, we'll go for if else. Okay, now if we have multiple options, then we will go for nested if else, like if, else, if. So I'll write if percentage greater than 90%. Within this if, I will write medical. Else if, okay, because we have to check whether it is greater than 80%. So I will put it here, else if percentage greater than 80%. So if it is not greater than 90%, then only cursor is going to come to the else statement. ओके, मग ही कंडिशन नाही सॅटिस्फाय झाली तरच तो एल्सला येणार आहे. एल्सला आला तर मी पुन्हा पुढची कंडिशन चेक करते, राईट? So definitely this logic will work. There are n number of logics to solve a single problem. Anyone can adopt any logic, but preferably an engineer should give a simplest logic which is easy to understand and easy to program. Okay, so this is what if, else, if, like that. And we also have an nested if. For example, here I have given only if statement. So I will say, for a nested if, I am telling you the example. If some condition I have given, for example, I have given the condition percentage greater than 70. Okay, so definitely it will come inside the loop if percentage are greater than 70. So 70 च्या वर गेलं तर what options we are providing? He will go for BCS, he will go for any, no, because more than 70 means 90 also, 80 also, 60 also, anything more than 70 is 70, 80, 90, any marks, right? So if it is beyond 90, we suggest you go for medical. If it is beyond 80, we suggest you go for engineering. So like that, we can use if statement within if statement as well. That is called as a nested if. Now let us go to some syntaxes. So as I have explained you just now, so if circular bracket, we have to give here expression. For example, percentage greater than 50, percentage greater than 80, or say A is greater than B. So we have seen various operators. So using those operators and any two variables also, you can give any expression. For example, we are comparing A is greater than B, B is greater than A, or A equal to B. Now meaning of double equal to is checking the condition. For example, A and B are the two variables. Suppose A मध्ये 3 आहे, B मध्ये 2 आहे. And we have to check whether the value of A and B both are same. Then we should not write A equal to B. In C programming, the main difference between equal to and double equal to is single equal to is the assignment operator which assigns right hand side of the operator to the left hand side of the operator. म्हणजे फॉर एक्झाम्पल मी जर लिहिलं इथं ए इक्वल टू बी, तर याचा अर्थ होतो बी चे जे काही कंटेंट आहेत ते ए ला असाइन कर. म्हणजे बी मध्ये 3 आहे, ए मध्ये 2 आहे, तर ए ला ओव्हरराईट केलं जाईल 3 नी. ओके, वेअर ॲज इफ my condition I write as A equal to B, meaning that it is checking whether B is equal to A. So answer will be yes or no. If it is yes, then only it will go inside the loop. So I told you the scope of the loop is defined by a curly bracket. So this is the opening of a curly bracket. So opening of scope of if statement. Then you have to write the multiple statements, whichever you want to execute if this expression is true. And this is the closing of the curly bracket. So if ही कंडिशन जर ट्रू झाली तर काय काय एक्झिक्यूट करायचं आपल्याला ते सगळं इथं टाकून द्यायचं. ओके, अँड देन curly bracket closing. Going to the next statement, if else statement. So we have two options now. If some condition, else without condition checking, we will give something. So if greater than 70, say percentage greater than 70, you go for further options. I write here, you go for further options. Else, you go for a skill development program. Okay, so this is how if else is used. This is the scope of if, this is the scope of else. We can write multiple statements within a scope of a loop. Okay, if we have to write only one statement, then there is no need of writing the curly bracket. Or otherwise, suppose you write 4 statements here which you want to execute under if, and you have not given the curly bracket, then it will not get executed. By default, it will execute only one statement which is written exactly after if statement. Okay, by default only one statement below the if is executed as its scope define केला नाही तर फक्त एकच स्टेटमेंट तो बाय डिफॉल्ट कन्सिडर करतो. I hope you have understood if else. We'll go further. If else if ladder. So if else if ladder means nested if else. So if condition 1, then do this. Else if again second condition is there. So when first condition is not satisfied, then only cursor will come to the else. But in else, when cursor comes to the else, then it come to know that it has one more statement to check, if. So if this condition is satisfied, then it will come here. Otherwise, it will come here, right? So see, here control statement can move here, say condition is not satisfied, it will directly come here. If condition is not satisfied, it will directly come here. Okay, got it? So if condition is satisfied, then only it is going to execute this. So this is how it is going to get executed. And this is the last step, last else. So whenever you are going to use if else ladder, you have to take care that at the end you have to give only else, because there should be closing else to every if. म्हणजे आता इथे पहिला इफ आहे त्याचा हा एल्स आहे, हा इफ आहे त्याचा हा एल्स आहे, हा इफ आहे त्याचा हा एल्स आहे, राईट. सो ऑल द 3 इफ एल्सेस आर कम्प्लिटेड. तर हा मी एल्स लिहिलाच नसता तर या इफचा एल्स कुठला हे कळलं नसतं. मग इट विल बी ट्रीटेड ॲज ओनली इफ. ओके, you have multiple loops. Only if is there, if else is there, only else is not there, huh? Only else is not there. So this is how the if else looping is done. Or if else ladder, this is called as a ladder because it is completion of a one loop. See, if else, so completion of one loop, then the next if else loop. So this is called as a ladder. This is first step, second step, third step, like that. And looping is called when we use loop within the loop, then it is called as a looping or recursion. It is also called as a recursion. Recursion म्हणजे काय? We are using loop inside a loop is called as a recursion. Moving forward to the switch statement. So switch has some expression which we are going to check, and it has multiple cases. For example, case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, like that. For example, we are checking a color. So expression will be color and user is going to give the value of color. So options are, say, case value 1 is red, value 2 is blue, value 3 is green. Like that we have multiple values. And if none of the values match, then we have some default. So default, by default, if none of the color matches, it will go to default. Okay. So in case of a switch case statement only, generally we go for a break statement, but it is optional. Break means directly from case 1, it will directly go below the code to be executed if all cases are not matched. It will directly come at the end with the break statement. Now loops, there are 3 basic loops: do while and for, that we make use of. Let us see one by one. We already have discussed in brief. So do while, as we discussed, it has to execute the programs at least once. It is better if you have execute the code at least once. At least once का म्हटलोय आपण इथं, कारण do ला काही कंडिशन नाहीये. सो डू म्हटलं की तो हा कोड एक्झिक्यूट करणार बाय डिफॉल्ट एकदा तरी, राईट. And then while we have to give the condition. So if this condition is met, cursor will go again to the do and it will execute this code, come back again, condition check. So unless and until this condition gets failed, it will not come out of the loop. जेव्हा कंडिशन फेल जाईल तेव्हाच तो बाहेर येतो लूपच्या, व्हाईल लूपच्या बाहेर येतो. ओके. सेमिकोलन मिनिंग इज एंड ऑफ द स्टेटमेंट. प्रत्येक स्टेटमेंटच्या एंडला आपण सेमिकोलन देतो. आता व्हाईल लूप. So as in case of a do while, the speciality is code is executed at least once. तसं while मध्ये नसतं. Not necessary code is executed at least once. Code is executed only when the condition is met. For example, while you have to give the condition, curly bracket is the scope, and whatever we have to execute, we have to write within this. Okay. So if condition is not met, it is not going to execute this code. If condition is met, then only it will do it. So it is called as a while. So while is used for repetitive action. For example, while say repeat is greater than 0. ओके, आपण काहीतरी करूया फॉर एक्झाम्पल, आणि मग तो डिक्रीमेंट करू. हा म्हणजे रिपीट इज ग्रेटर दॅन 0 आणि एव्हरी टाइम मी आतमध्ये म्हणते रिपीट इक्वल टू रिपीट -1. ओके, इनिशियल रिपीट मी युजरकडनं घेतला, त्याने 10 टाकला सपोज. सो रिपीट इज ग्रेटर दॅन 0, म्हणजे 10 ग्रेटर दॅन 0 आहेत का? येस. सो इट विल कम इनसाइड, डू द थिंग्स. सो याच्यातच मी एक स्टेटमेंट लिहिले, रिपीट इक्वल टू रिपीट -1. मग रिपीटची व्हॅल्यू काय झाली? 9. सो 9 इज ग्रेटर दॅन 0, येस, इट विल एक्झिक्यूट. 8 is greater than 0, yes, it will execute like 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 0. 0 is greater than 0, no. So here condition is false, it will come out of the loop. Okay, so here loop will break. So it is used for iteration. Number of times suppose we have to execute the things, it is called as a iteration. Iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. Likewise it is used, so it is called as a, so it is a while loop, which we will make use of in numerical methods as well for number of iterations. Then there is a next loop, which is a for loop. So as I told you, three things we can do within a for loop. This is the speciality. Up till now, we have seen that we are checking condition. But here, initialization. For example, I have to write a equal to 0, initial value of a. Then condition. Okay. I'm saying a is less than 10. Okay, this is a condition. Increment, decrement, a plus plus means a equal to a plus 1. So this for loop will get executed say 0 to 10 number of times. For example, say initialization a equal to 0, condition a is less than 10, increment decrement मध्ये मी लिहिते a plus plus. So पहिल्यांदा 0 is less than 10, yes, it will execute once. मग इथे इन्क्रीमेंट होईल तुमचा a 1 होईल. So 1 is less than 0, sorry 1 is less than 10, yes, पुन्हा एक्झिक्यूट होईल. 2 is less than 10, yes, पुन्हा एक्झिक्यूट होईल. 3 is less than 10, एक्झिक्यूट होईल. असं किती वेळा होईल? 0 to 10. So it will be 11 number of times. जेव्हा कंडिशन होईल तुमची 10 is less than 10, no, right? त्यावेळी तो it will come out of the loop. Out of the loop means it will come immediately after the scope of the loop. This is the scope, this is opening, this is closing. So cursor will immediately come after the closing of a curly bracket. So this is what the for loop is. Now this is break statement. So break is a jumping statement. Wherever we write break, it will come out from there. So it is used to break the execution of a loop. It will directly come out of the loop. Then continue. Continue is used to continue the execution of a loop. Suppose some condition is not met, but still we want to continue with that for one number of time, only once, then we will use continue statement. Okay. So continue and break are not most commonly used statements in case of a programming, but this facility is given in the C language. But generally good programmer don't use switch, case, break, continue. These four statements are not the sign of a good programmer. Okay, now we'll see what is a function. So basically, function is a small program. Okay, function is a small program which we need to execute many number of times. For example, the task is calculating the percentage of each student. Okay, for example, we have a class wherein there are 60 students and 5 subjects. Okay, so every student is going to appear for 5 subjects and we are interested to calculate the percentage of each student. So we have to calculate percentage 60 number of times as we have 60 students, right? So every time, I mean, I'm not going to write this line 60 number of times, calculation of percentage. So rather, whenever I'm going to make use of a function, what am I going to use is I will write a program to calculate a percentage and I will give some name to that program. Okay. Let us say the name of that program I've given as a percentage, and percentage is my one of the function. So I will call this function in a loop wherein my loop will get executed 60 number of times. So my main program will only be of 3 lines, right? Only 3, logically saying only basic things are only loop, first line, second line, calling the function percentage, and third line printing of it. That's it. So only 3 line program will be there to calculate the percentage of 60 students. Okay, for total appearing for 5 subjects each. So this is how you can shorten the program, you can make the program short, and for that purpose we make use of a function. You can use the code, so it is code reusability, you can reuse the code, and code optimization. So code optimization can be done means length of the code can be reduced so that it is easy for understanding. So how syntax is used. So there is a specific function. For example, basically C is a functional language because main itself is a function. We are writing everything within a function. So return type, okay, so we have to write here int, float, char, whatever is the return data type. For example, percentage is going to return in say 80.35%, so it is a float data type. So here we have to use the return data type as a float. Okay, float, function name as percentage say, and in bracket data type parameter. For example, what we are going to pass. So we are going to pass the 5 marks which will be in integer. आपण समजूया की मार्क्स आपल्या फ्रॅक्शन मध्ये नाही आहेत. In that case this data type is going to be integer. Okay, so again there is a scope. So this is the scope wherein you have to write the code to be executed. Okay, आणि कॉल करायचं म्हणजे काय, आता हा मेन प्रोग्राम झाला. दिस इज टू डिफाईन अ फंक्शन अँड दिस इज टू कॉल अ फंक्शन. फंक्शन कॉल कसं करणार आपण, तर व्हेरिएबल इज इक्वल टू, दरवेळी मी जे वापरणार आहे, फॉर एक्झाम्पल पर्सेंटेज ऑफ स्टुडंट 1 इज इक्वल टू percentage and I'll pass the arguments. For example, student 1 say M1, M2, M3, M4, M5. Marks of first subject, marks of second, marks of third, marks of 4, marks of 5. Okay, so this function I'll call 60 number of times. So this is how function is used. So there are two ways to call a function. One is call by value and other one is call by reference. So call by value is most commonly used and call by reference is nothing but a pointers. So that is one of the concept in C programming. So in call by value, value being passed to the function is locally stored by the function parameter in stack memory location. So again understand there are two concepts, local and global variable. Okay, understand, local variable, global variable. So as the name indicates, local variable means its scope is less, global variable means its scope is more. So as we have seen, function is a small program. So there are some variables which are live only within the function. They are not visible in the main program. समजतंय तुम्हाला, मेन प्रोग्राम हा एक वेगळा प्रोग्राम आहे, फंक्शन हा एक वेगळा प्रोग्राम आहे. सो फंक्शन आपण कॉल करणार आहे मेन प्रोग्राम मध्ये. सो देर आर सम व्हेरिएबल्स विच आर लाईव्ह ऑर विजिबल only in the function, those are called as the local variable. And there are some variables which are live in the function as well as in the main program, then they are called as the global variables, which is visible throughout the main program as well, within the function as well. So त्या व्हेरिएबलचं नाव दोन्हीकडे तेच राहतंय. अशी कंडिशन असेल तर इट इज कॉल्ड एज अ ग्लोबल व्हेरिएबल. अंडरस्टँड द मीनिंग ऑफ लोकल and global. Local means live only in function. Global means it is live in function, live in main program as well. Okay, see. In call by value, value being passed to the function is locally stored by the function parameter in the stack memory location. If you change the value of a function parameter, it is changed for the current function only. It is changed only within the function. It will not change the value of variable inside the caller method such as main. म्हणजे मेन प्रोग्राम मध्ये त्याची व्हॅल्यू चेंज होणार नाहीये, ती फक्त विदिन द फंक्शन होणार आहे. सो इट इज कॉल बाय व्हॅल्यू. Second one is a call by reference. So here it will use the global variable. So it will change the value within the function also and it will be reflected in the main program also. In call by reference, original value is modified because we pass the reference address. Now recursion in C. So recursion means function within the function. So for example, the function name itself is recursion given here. See here, recursion function. This is a start of a function, curly bracket scope. Again, within the same function, I am calling the same function, right? So function within the function is called as recursion. So recursion, actually the dictionary meaning of recursion word itself is calling something within the same thing. Okay, त्याच गोष्टीत तीच गोष्ट परत कॉल करणं म्हणजे रिकर्शन. ओके, सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एज अ रिकर्शन. आता array. So this is the last concept that we are going to study and then we will stop. So array is a collection of data type. For example, I have to store the marks of 60 students and marks are going to be integer. तर मग मी 60 व्हेरिएबल डिफाईन करेल का? की मार्क्स 1, मार्क्स 2, मार्क्स 3 म्हणजे पहिल्या मुलाचे मार्क, दुसऱ्या मुलाचे मार्क, तिसऱ्या मुलाचे मार्क. No, I'm not going to do like this. I know that all marks are in integer, so I will just make an array. Array is collection of similar data type. Array is collection of similar data type. So I will make a, say, marks in bracket I will write 60. So it will be marks 0, marks 1, marks 2, marks 3. So I will understand की मार्क्स 1 म्हणजे पहिल्या मुलाचे मार्क, मार्क्स 7 म्हणजे सातव्या मुलाचे मार्क, रोल नंबर 7 चे मार्क, मार्क्स 60 म्हणजे रोल नंबर 60 चे मार्क. ओके, so this is how the array is used. So there are two types, one dimensional array, two dimensional array. So one dimensional array म्हणजे काय की आपण एकाच विषयाचे मार्क सेव्ह करतोय फॉर एक्झाम्पल. ओके, एकाच विषयाचे मार्क स्टोअर करतोय. That time we will go for one dimensional array. Suppose I want to store the marks of 5 different subjects for each student, then I'll go for a two dimensional array. म्हणजे कसं की 60 मुलांचे मला 5 विषयांचे मार्क पाहिजे. So my matrix will be 60 by 5, right? 60 rows will be there and 5 columns will be there. So it will be 60 by 5. So this is a two dimensional array. Now advantages of array: code optimization is possible, easy to transfer the data, easy to sort the data, and random access is possible. सो टू डायमेन्शनल अरे देतो कसं आपण, सो इथे अरेचं नाव देतो आणि 2 स्क्वेअर ब्रॅकेट देतो. म्हणजे इथं रो, नंबर ऑफ रोज, इथे नंबर ऑफ कॉलम्स. फॉर एक्झाम्पल हिअर आय विल राईट 60, हिअर आय विल राईट 5, देन इट विल बी 60 by 5. See here. Okay, here number of rows are 3, R1, R2, R3. So I have written 3. Number of columns are 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have written 4. ओके, आणि मग त्याच्या आत काय व्हॅल्यू स्टोअर करायच्या त्या पुन्हा आपण इथे पुढे देऊ शकतो. ओके, सो दिस इज हाऊ वी कॅन गो फॉर अ ॲरे. आणि आता पॉइंटर. पॉइंटर इज अ लास्ट कॉन्सेप्ट इन अ सी लँग्वेज whenever we focus on basics of C. So this is one of the data type which is used for various strings, trees, arrays, structures, functions. कुठेही आपण वापरू शकतो पॉइंटर. पॉइंटर म्हणजे काय की इट इज ऑलवेज पॉइंटिंग टू सम लोकेशन. ओके, and which make use of a global variable, and we can use that pointer and call any function anywhere with रेफरन्स. म्हणजे आपण व्हॅल्यूनी नाही कॉल करत, कॉल बाय रेफरन्स म्हणजे त्याच्या ॲड्रेसनी त्या पर्टिक्युलर एंटिटीला इन्वोक करतो, कॉल करतो. ओके, दिस इज कॉल्ड एज अ पॉइंटर्स. तर एवढं फक्त तुम्हाला जरी समजलं व्हॉट इज अ पॉइंटर, देन ऑल्सो इट इज okay for now, and next time we will go for programming. So that's all for today. I hope all of you have understood it. Please comment to my video. Thank you so much.